Listen to me carefully. What you're feeling is not personal failure. It's not weakness. And it's not coincidence. Something has been quietly pressing on you. Constant tension beneath the surface. Sense that the world feels heavier, louder, more hostile than it should. That pressure has a source. We are living inside a system that feeds on emotional exhaustion. And geopolitics is one of its most effective instruments. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and start protecting what truly matters. Every day the world presents itself as unstable. Conflicts rising, economies trembling, borders threatened, alliances shifting. Power struggles framed as destiny. But beneath the surface of these events, something else is happening. Your attention is being trained. Your emotions are being conditioned. Your energy is being redirected. Fear keeps the nervous system alert. Alert minds don't rest. Restless minds don't reflect. And people who don't reflect don't resist. This is not about denying reality. It's about understanding how reality is framed to you. Geopolitics is not just strategy between nations. It is emotional choreography on a global scale. When uncertainty dominates the headlines, people cling to authority. When danger feels constant, freedom feels risky. When fear becomes normal, control feels necessary. I've watched this pattern repeat for decades. Different leaders, different crises, same emotional script. Urgency replaces wisdom. Outrage replaces understanding. Reaction replaces choice. And slowly, people lose touch with their inner center. That's the real cost. Before we go any further, let me say this clearly. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll understand something most people never do. How global power games quietly shape your inner world, and how to step out of that influence without disconnecting from reality. That's why I ask you now, early on, subscribe to this channel and leave a like, not because of algorithms, but because what you're learning here is not opinion, it's awareness. A manipulated world doesn't need chains, it needs distraction. And geopolitics provides endless distraction. Every new conflict pulls emotional energy. Every threat demands attention. Every narrative asks you to choose a side. But notice something important. You are rarely invited to understand. You're invited to react. Reaction is fast. Understanding is slow. When people live in a permanent state of emotional acceleration, they don't notice what they're losing. They lose patience, they lose nuance, they lose inner silence. And without silence, intuition cannot speak. This is how spiritual disconnection happens, not through disbelief, but through overload. I've seen strong people become anxious, wise people become rigid, compassionate people become cruel, not because they changed, but because they were pushed beyond their emotional limits. Geopolitical narratives don't just describe the world, they shape how you feel inside your own body. Tension in the chest, tightness in the jaw, restlessness in the mind, that is energy being consumed. And a drained person is easier to guide than a grounded one.
Always.
The system doesn't need you asleep. It needs you tired. Tired people don't ask deeper questions. They accept simple answers. Good versus evil. Us versus them. Fear versus safety. And anyone who has done inner work knows this. Spiritual clarity comes from holding complexity without panic. That ability is dangerous to systems built on emotional polarization. Because when you stop being pulled by fear, you stop being predictable. And predictability is power for those who seek to manage populations. Let me paint a picture for you. The sea looks violent and uncontrollable. Most people jump into the water and fight the waves. A few step back and observe the tide. Politics pulls you into the water. Spiritual awareness teaches you to read the ocean. You don't deny the storm, you stop letting it drown you. This is where many people misunderstand energy protection. They think it means disengagement, silence, withdrawal, but real protection is selective engagement. You choose what deserves your emotional investment. You remain informed, but not consumed, aware, but not possessed. Geopolitics loses its psychological grip when you refuse to internalize its urgency. When you stop carrying global fear as personal anxiety. When you remember that your nervous system was not designed to process the entire world's instability. That realization alone restores power. I want you to notice how often fear is framed as responsibility. If you don't worry, you don't care. If you're calm, you're ignorant. If you question narratives, you're dangerous. This is emotional coercion. Emotional coercion is effective because it bypasses logic, but awareness interrupts it. Ask yourself, every time a headline spikes your emotion, is this information or stimulation? Does this empower understanding or provoke reaction? These questions are shields. And shields are necessary in a world that constantly pulls at your inner state. As a father, my role has always been protection, not by controlling, but by teaching discernment. I don't want you afraid of the world. And narrow perception serves power structures very well. Here comes the moment most people don't expect. When you reclaim your energy, you don't become apathetic. You become precise. You stop wasting emotion on manufactured outrage. You save it for real human connection, for grounded action, for inner growth, and that precision changes everything. You begin to see geopolitics for what it is, a stage where power moves, yes, but also a screen that hides deeper truths. The truth that no system can control a person who knows themselves deeply. No narrative can dominate a mind that remains inwardly sovereign. No fear campaign can hold someone who has learned to return to their breath, their body, their presence. That's why inner work has always been quietly discouraged. It produces people who cannot be easily mobilized by panic. People who think before they react. People who refuse to outsource their conscience. This is not rebellion. This is maturity. And maturity threatens systems that depend on emotional immaturity. Let me bring this home. You don't need to surrender your inner peace to prove you care. Your clarity is not selfish, it is necessary. Protecting your energy in a geopolitically manipulated world is not spiritual luxury. It is survival. Survival of discernment. Survival of empathy. Survival of the soul. And when enough people do this, something shifts. The noise loses effectiveness. The narratives weaken. The manipulation becomes visible. That is the consequence they never advertise. Because awareness spreads quietly, it doesn't shout, it doesn't argue. If this resonated with you, leave a comment. Not to debate, just to acknowledge awareness. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you value spaces that protect consciousness instead of exploiting it. In a world shaped by power struggles and global manipulation, your energy is your last true territory. Guard it, because once you do, the system loses its hold on you.